population and sample. See the difference when you look at this handout. Right after population, I type in uppercase N, and for the sample, I have a lowercase n. So, what is the difference between a population and a sample? Anyway.
Population is the entire group, and sample is just a portion of that group.
Okay. Can you give me an example, please?
Like, the population would be trees. The sample could be like just a type of tree.
Okay.
Yeah, sycamore.
Derek, man, come down to the earth. Not jump from one tree to another tree. Just come down to the earth. Come up with something more visible, which is visible in the plain, which we call in the, what is the thing, in law enforcement term? Plain view doctrine.
I'm not talking about the tree of life or
This is not a philosophy class. I'm just kidding. Anyway. Okay, what could be an example? Let's say we have a total of 120 master's degree students. Let's just assume it on campus. So we have a total of 120 master's degree students on campus, and I am going to do a study with those master's degree students. So all these 120 people, that is my population. So I will use this n equal 120. Now I am thinking about doing a survey, but then I thought, okay, so I sat down and wrote a whole bunch of questions and became pretty wild in writing those questions. So I came up with about 20 pages of questions. I'm just saying it. So 20 pages of questions. Can you imagine how much time it will take for me to sit down with each one of you and ask and get the response? And then depending on where you are sitting, depending on who you are sitting, I'm just kidding. So, anyway, so 20 pages of questions, so that's a lot of time. So what are the choices you have? When you seriously, practically think, you as a researcher, you practically think, well, I'm going to do a survey and I want to use all these 120 graduate students, but do I really have that much time? Then I thought, well, you know, with that kind of a survey, 20 pages of questions, one choice I have is I can reduce that to about 10 pages. That's not too bad. So I reduced it. Then I sat down and find out, you know, how much time I will need with each one of you to finish that whole questionnaire. I still found out that, well, it's going to take at least half an hour to 40 minutes. Then I realized I really don't have that much time. So what do we do? What is my next step? I want to keep that same questionnaire. So 10 pages questionnaire, I'm keeping it. But I still want to do this survey with all you guys, with your graduate students. So what is my other choice? Friends?
Either do group or email.
No, email is not a good way to do it,
Okay.
but group.
Group.
Okay. So what is the choice I have? So what I can do is, I can get a complete listing of all you guys, the complete listing, your names and student ID numbers. I'm not dealing with your date of birth or anything, forget those. So I have this complete listing of all graduate students, all 120 of them, and then from that listing I can create my sample. Now how many people I am going to have in my sample, that's up to me. Because if you are doing the study, you as the researcher, you decide how many people you want in your sample. So if you are drawing a 25% sample, how many people I will have? 25% sample from these. 30, right? So what I can do, I can select a sample of 30 graduate students from this population, and then that's my study sample. So I collect data from only 30 people. However, what is the important issue here? The important issue is these 30 people, they represent all these 120 graduate students. That means what? It means when I am done with this study, all the findings I have from this sample, I can draw a conclusive statement for this population, just because this sample represents this population. So that is the advantage for drawing a sample. If it is a representative sample, that is the advantage. So I have this whole listing of all graduate students. So this complete listing of all graduate students, that is called So this complete listing of all graduate students, that is called sampling frame. From that sampling frame, we can create our sample. Now, okay. Do you have a copy of this page? Yes. When you are creating samples, we try to be neutral. The first idea is when you are drawing your samples, you got to give equal opportunity to each one or each person in that sampling frame to be selected in the sample. You have to give equal chances. That means you got to be neutral. You have to be objective when you are drawing these sample, people for your sample. So you are going to be picking them up randomly. What is the best way to pick up those people or selecting samples randomly? One, the best way is using these random numbers. If you get on the internet, you can see this is a page from the internet. If you get on the internet, you can get all kinds of tables of random numbers. So, if you look at this one here, we have this listing of 100 random numbers. But look at each one of these numbers, how many digits we have in each number? 5, right? But if we have 120 people in our population, how can we use those 5 digits? Anyway, what do you think?
Would you keep the zeros in front? And then just...
There is no, you don't use
Are you
zero.
talking about numbers like...
No, you see, look at, let's look at the first number here. What are the digits we have? 37258. First number here, right? 5 digits. Now, we don't go up to 5 digits. We have only 120 people in our population. So, how far we can go up to? Absolutely right. So, out of these 5 digits, just look at the first 2 digits. So what you do is, first 2 digits, 37. So you go through your sampling frame, the complete listing, and select the 37th person. So one person done. You are still left with 29.